Potato,
Here.
Brown,
Here.
Cole,
Here.
Hochstetter,
Here.
Newman,
Here.
Reed,
Here.
Stewart.
Here.
Help. There we go. Tonight, we have a proposed amended agenda. Could I please have a motion to amend the agenda, removing item B, ordinance number 2823, zoning code text amendments, electronic reader board under new business?
Yes, I'll make that motion to amend the agenda, removing item ordinance 2823, the zoning code text amendment, electronic reader board under new business.
Thank you. Seconded by Mr. Brown. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimous. All right, moving on to the consent agenda. Michelle, would you please read the consent agenda?
Item number 1, approval of the approval of checks, electronic payments in the amount of $1,198,576.91. Item 2, water rights consultant contract amendment, Tom Pores. Item 3, White River Restoration Project, WRRP, Puget Sound Energy, PSC transmission relocation, Alderton, 115 kV construction agreement. Item 4, WRRP PSC transmission relocation, Alpac 115 kV construction agreement. Item 5, WRRP PSC transmission relocation, Alderton 230 kV construction agreement. Item 6, 24th Street East utility relocation, gas line relocation reimbursement agreement. Item 7, 24th Street utility relocation easement from city to PSC gas. Item 8, 24th Street East utility relocation easement from PSC gas to city. Item 9, resolution number 1629, petty cash and change funds. Item 10, resolution number 1631, paper of record. Item 11, Teamsters 2022 through 2024 collective bargaining agreement. Item 12, approval of the meeting minutes from the following: June 21st, 2022, regular council meeting, June 27th, special council meeting and study session, and the study session of July 11th, 2022.
Thank you, Michelle. Will Deputy Mayor Hochstetter please make a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
Yes, I move to adopt the consent agenda as read, all items 1 through 12.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Councilmember Potato. It has been moved and seconded to approve the council consent agenda. Would any council member wish to remove any item? Wish to remove any item? Seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All in favor, passes unanimous. Okay, moving right along. All right, we're on ordinance number 2821, expanding multifamily tax exemption residential target areas. Councilmember Newman, would you like to make a motion?
Yes, I will move to approve ordinance number 2821 that would expand the multifamily tax exemption
Thank you.
in targeted areas.
Do I have a second?
Yes, I'll second that.
Seconded by Deputy Mayor Hochstetter, and I will call Ryan Windish, Community Development Director.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor Hayden and City Council. Tonight before you is the amendments to our multifamily tax exemption. In 2021, the City Council approved a housing action plan that prioritized implementation of actions that would create opportunities for affordable housing in the city. And the ordinance would expand the city's multifamily tax exemption program. They had several study sessions on this and talked about it. Council did, and gave us direction to prepare an ordinance that would allow for a 12-year multifamily tax exemption for affordable housing in the East Sumner area. And what it does is it requires that 20% of the units be affordable to low and moderate income households. Per state law, public hearings required. Public hearing was held on June 18th. We had 2 comments from the public, both in opposition to the proposal. One concerns about traffic and one's with concern about community character. So ordinance 2821, the staff recommendation is to approve. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Do we have any questions for Mr. Windisch? All right, seeing none, Michelle, would you call the roll?
Potato,
Yes.
Newman,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
Hochstetter,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Cole.
Yes.
Another unanimous. Okay, moving on to public comment. The public is encouraged to submit their comments to the city clerk by email before tonight's meeting, so the clerk may read those emails received into the record. Michelle, were there any public comments received?
No, there were not.
No public comments. Does anybody in the public wish to say anything? Nobody in the public. Okay. No hands raised. On to new business. Ordinance number 2822-2022, comprehensive plan amendments, density descriptions. Councilmember Brown, would you like to make a motion?
I move to adopt ordinance 2822-2022, comprehensive plan amendments, density descriptions.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Yes, I'll make that second.
Seconded by Councilmember Deputy Mayor Hochstetter, and I call Planner Ann Siegenthaler. And is she here?
Mayor, Mr. Windisch will have to cover this item.
Mr. Windisch?
Mayor Hayden and council. Ann Siegenthaler, our senior planner, is going to be covering this, but apparently we're having some kind of technical difficulties, so I'll do the best I can. Ordinance number 2822 would amend our comprehensive plan. And the proposal would update text in the comprehensive plan to clarify the range of residential densities and anticipated in the descriptions. The residential designations established in the plan allow some intensive uses. The update would clarify the stated densities to reflect the likely density and intensity of the uses. Also, the planned residential development overlay designation provides for increased density for certain types of projects. The update would clarify residential district descriptions to reflect the potential for increased density through a planned residential development. The proposal does not increase any adopted densities. So it's really a cleanup item for the most part and makes some fairly minor amendments to our comprehensive plan. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Any questions or discussions for Mr. Windisch? Are we all good on this? All right. Anybody in the public like to speak on this? Raise your hand, push *9. Seeing none. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Hochstetter,
Yes.
Newman,
Yes.
Potato,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Cole,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Passes unanimous. All right, moving on. Ordinance number 2824, 2022. Zoning code text amendments, gas stations. Councilmember Cole, would you like to make a motion?
Yes, I move to adopt ordinance number 2824-2022, zoning code text amendments, gas stations.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Yes. I'm trying to second that.
Yes, I'll second that.
Thank you. Where are we now?
Mr. Windish.
All on Mr. Windish again.
Thank you, Mayor Hayden. So this is the third item on the comprehensive plan, 2022 comprehensive plan amendment package, and is a zoning code text amendment regarding gas stations. And all our zoning code text amendments go to the planning commission, and they held a public hearing and provided a recommendation to city council. And this update to the zoning code would prohibit gas stations in the general commercial zones. It would allow gas stations in our interchange commercial, they would remain unallowed use, as well as in our industrial zones. It also allows for an expansion of up to 25% for any gas station that's existing that would be non-conforming. It also allows for upgrades to a fuel station that would be for changes in technology or safety or government regulations, and updates the definition for clarity. I think one of the most important things about this particular amendment is gas stations would no longer be allowed in our historic downtown, even down in front of Fred Meyer. There was a proposal, and there still is a proposal for a fuel station at the corner of Valley and Main. So that project would continue to move forward as a vested project. So that is the proposal, and staff's recommendation and planning commission recommendation were to approve.
Thank you. Any discussion or questions for Mr. Windish from council members? No? No? We ready?
Councilmember Reed.
Yes.
Thank you, Mayor.
Oh,
Yeah, I just had a couple of comments. I really appreciate the process we went through on this one. I wasn't comfortable with the initial version that had complete restriction on some existing businesses, but the compromised version that's consistent with the other conditional use permits and allowing 25% expansion satisfied my concerns, as well as making contact with the businesses that would have been impacted. They seemed to be happy with that as well. So thank you for that.
any other? All right, seeing none. Anybody from the public want to comment on this? Anybody from the public? Seeing none. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Newman,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Potato,
Yes.
Cole,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
Hochstetter.
Yes,
There we go. Unanimous. All right, moving on to ordinance number 2827 Comcast franchise renewal, first reading. Councilmember Reed, would you like to make a motion?
I sure would, Mayor. I move we pass ordinance 2827 regarding renewal franchise agreement between City of Sumner and Comcast Cable Communications Management LLC.
Thank you. And a second?
yes, I'll second that.
Seconded by Councilmember Hochstetter. And we have City Attorney Andrea Marquez.
Good evening. Before you tonight, as Councilmember Reed's motion stated, is ordinance 2827, a renewal of the city's Comcast franchise franchise agreement with Comcast. And the purpose, just as a reminder, of franchise agreements are formal documents giving permission to utility companies to utilize the city right away for the provision of their various services. So this is a cable franchise agreement with Comcast as opposed to the web services that they also offer to the community. The proposed term of the franchise renewal is 10 years. And as a member of the Rainier Cable Commission, the city was involved in a wholesale renegotiation of this franchise template. All of the members of the RCC got together and through the course of over a year's worth of meetings, came up with this template that all of the members will incorporate and adopt or have already incorporated and adopted. And for consistency's sake, that was a really, really smart idea so that all of the cities in the that are members of the RCC will have the same provisions. With very minor exceptions, we negotiated a couple of small changes to this template that would better serve Sumner. For example, we incorporated what's called a dig once policy, meaning that if Comcast is in our right of way, installing conduit or tearing up the sidewalk for some purpose, they will notify us as far enough in advance as possible so that the city can also take advantage of the fact that the right of way is open so that we can minimize the number of digs in our sidewalk system. The other pieces that we negotiated that might differ from other RCC members are notice periods prior to CIP projects. We were able to negotiate a lengthier notice provision so that we can get all of our ducks in a row prior to those large projects so that the relocation of utilities don't delay our large city projects. And lastly, the PEG fee provisions. This is something that has been floating out there for a long time. PEG fees have caused a little bit of paranoia. So as a reminder, PEG fees are 0.375% of gross revenues for Sumner. And they are a limited resource that the city can extract for capital costs related to educational or governmental TV. So essentially the fee was based on an estimate of the capital costs that Sumner would need in order to run our PCC television, for example. And RCC helped with the breakdown of these fees and the estimate of the costs for each member city. A couple other small reminders about our franchise agreement. Comcast pays a franchise fee, which equates to 5% of their gross revenues that is paid on a quarterly basis. And those are general fund dollars. So the city can utilize those in whichever manner it sees fit. So the process for franchise agreement adoptions, it requires 2 readings. So I'm before you tonight in an unusual circumstance where you won't be voting. I'll be back before you again on August 1st, where you will hear this spiel one more time and have an opportunity to vote on the ultimate ordinance. But for tonight, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? None. You get off easy tonight.
Okay.
Any public would like to speak on this? Rush before somebody else gets there. Nobody there. Okay. Moving on to ordinance number 2828, parking code amendments. Mr. Windisch. Councilmember Newman,
yeah,
would you
first-
like to make the
yeah.
motion?
I'll move that we approve ordinance number 2828, new parking code amendments to allow school buses to park behind the new high school.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Mr. Stewart, and we have Community Director Brian Windisch.
Thank you, Mayor Hayden, City Council. Ordinance 2828 would amend the city Sumner parking code and allow for bus parking on the south side of Mason Street. And it also removes the RPZ, the Residential Parking Zone 1 designation, because the new high school expansion will have bus parking in this location. And this is in response to a request that was made by the Sumner Bonnie Lake School District. And the other amendment in the ordinance would prohibit parking on the south side of 45th Street East in a section 350 feet east of Tacoma Avenue in our industrial area. So it would reduce congestion and potential conflicts there. of the driveway location. And it went to the Community Development Committee of the council on June 22nd with a do pass recommendation. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Windisch? Seeing none. I'm trying to get this. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Windisch. I ride my bicycle along 45th Street to avoid riding through the REI parking lot. And there's always a lot of trucks parked there on both sides of the street. Now that this will restrict the south side, how are we set up for enforcement of that?
So
Of the
parking-
no parking restrictions?
Yeah, so parking enforcement is done by the police department, and I don't know exactly their protocols for, oh, look, we have Deputy Chief Andy McCurdy here. He may be able to answer that question better than I could.
Yeah, so essentially, we respond to parking enforcement in two different ways. Most of it's done based on complaints. So if somebody notices that somebody's parked in violation, they would call that in, and we, through to South Sound 911, an officer would be dispatched to address it. When we have more chronic issues, or if the either other city departments or somebody else has identified something as an issue that needs to be addressed in a more formal way, then we have a list of those locations that the officers will respond to in their discretionary time to try to take enforcement action. So unfortunately, parking is one of the lowest priorities. So, that's only done when there's no other calls for service or other things that would require a more urgent response. The only other thing I'll mention is we do have a community service officer, and a small part of her time is spent doing parking enforcement, but most of that's downtown for the time violations. But she does kind of collaborate with the patrol officers. And one of the things we've been discussing is with the traffic safety task force to have them start to identify areas that are a priority for them based on feedback that they get or concerns that they have. And then we can kind of assign them out to officers based on that priority list from the traffic safety task force.
Thank you, Chief. I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
Nope, no problem at all.
I just, I've said this before on different times when I was on the council, and I'll say it again. I'm more than willing to issue citations when I ride my bike by and I see violations, but I don't think you probably want to swear me in to do that. So anyway, thank you for the good job your officers are doing. Excellent work.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Windisch. Any members of the public like to speak to this? Seeing none, clerk, please call the roll. Is there? Mary Urbeck. Oh, sorry, Mary Urbeck.
Yes, Mary Urback for Sumner Bonnie Lake High School District. I'd like to thank Ryan and staff for working through the language, the appropriate language to incorporate it into your parking ordinance in order for consistency with the Sumner High School Master Plan Conditional Use Permit and the development agreement executed between the school district and the city of Sumner. It is another piece to allow the high school master plan project to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, any other? All right, Michelle, would you like to call the roll?
Stewart,
Yes.
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 Hochstetter,
Yes.
Newman,
Yes.
Potato,
Yes.
Cole.
Yes.
7-0. Okay, our last item, ordinance number 2829, 2022 compensation schedule amendment. Those are big words. We have Mr. Jeff Steffens.
Would you like a motion?
Yes. You could probably. Councilmember Boteto, would you like to make a motion?
Sure.
I'd like to make a motion to approve ordinance number 2829, amending the 2022 compensation schedule.
Do I have a second?
Mayor,
Yes.
Ms. Potato, your microphone was not on, so we're gonna have to have you repeat that motion, please.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to approve ordinance number 2829, amending the 2022 compensation schedule.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Councilmember Stewart. Now we have Jeff Steffens.
Thank you. Earlier this evening, the city council agreed, adopted a labor agreement with Teamsters Local 313. This compensation schedule amendment includes those 2022 salary changes into our current compensation schedule. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Do we have any questions for Mr. Steffens? Any questions from the public? Everybody's pretty quiet tonight. All right, would clerk please call the roll?
Reed,
Yes.
Potato,
Yes.
Hochstetter,
Yes.
Cole,
Yes.
Newman,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
7-0. Okay. Nice job, guys. So we'll move on to reports. Mr. Reed.
Thank you, Mayor. I have nothing this evening.
Wow. Councilmember Newman.
I just wanted to thank thank you. I just wanted to thank the community for a great rhubarb days. It was nice to see everyone out and having fun again. I purchased too many things, but the music was great. Even my cat survived it blasting right next to the window. So anyway, thanks to the community for rallying and supporting the downtown events.
Thank you. Councilmember Hochstetter.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll just mention that the first Music Off Main concert was really well attended and the music was great. And it worked out to have it in the yard at Ryan House. It was cool and comfortable and plenty of space for people to move around. And the plan was, there was also something on Bryan Avenue. And that was that went well too. That was fun to be able to go down and see the different vendors and buy things down there. So overall, a very good success, and we need to see everybody there next Friday.
Thank you. Councilmember Stewart.
Thank you, Mayor. I was able to attend Rhubarb Days on Saturday with my daughter and her daughter from out of town, and they were really, really awestruck by how the community came together and how many people were there, and everybody had a good time, good food. It was wonderful. And thanks to the staff for helping coordinate that. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Councilmember Potato.
Yeah, on Friday, I was over at the cannery with Rotary to welcome the troops that they're like, what is the name of the event?
Salute to the troops.
Salute to the troops. And it was, just nice to see many of the young officers that came and, learned where they came from all over the country. And they like the area, but wish we didn't have so much rain. So hopefully, but that was good. And then in the mail today, the ballots came. So I encourage everybody to vote. The election is on the 2nd of August.
Thank you. Councilmember Brown.
Good night.
Okay. Now we have City Administrator Jason Wilson. Oh, Pat Cole. Sorry about that.
No worries. I just wanted to say that I did attend Rhubarb Days on Sunday with my 4 and 6-year-old grandkids, and we all had a ball. The food trucks were fantastic.
Thank you. Now, Mr. Wilson.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Excuse me. Coming up at next week's study session, the YMCA will be here to give us an annual update about everything that is going on at the YMCA, including their reopening numbers and the changes that they're making post-COVID, or as COVID's not over, but at least as they are trying to get back to more normal operations. After that, staff will be talking about a couple of amendments to their service, to the YMCA services agreements that were necessary because of the pandemic. And then community development will be here to talk about accessory dwelling units and the proposal that's made its way through the Planning Commission, and also about a micro transit option for the MIC. At our next regular council meeting on August 1st, we're actually going to be starting with an executive session that night to brief you on the cybersecurity audit that we recently completed with the State Auditor's Office. And then we'll move into our regular council meeting agenda, which will include a resolution to accept a grant from the Port of Tacoma for the Ryan House, a resolution that creates an employee retention incentive, a resolution extending the capital facilities plan. And then we're going to have 2 public hearings that night. One will be on the Houston Road annexation, and the second will be on the city's cybersecurity audit. And then on new business, we have an ordinance adopting the franchise agreement with Comcast, which we had the first reading of tonight, as well as an ordinance to allocate ARPA funds. On the significant development activity, Mr. Windish hinted at this. The property owner for the vacant land on the corner of Valley and Main Street, they did submit a conditional use permit application, and they are vested for a gas station and convenience store. It's not branded at this time. This complete application is what vests the project to the existing code and development regulations. That means that the code that was approved tonight has no effect on the property owner's proposed project. And then lastly, I do want to say, as a number of you mentioned, summer events are in full swing. It's been great to see a lot of people out and about. I encourage you, look at our event calendar on our website. There's something going on every single weekend between now and the end of August. So lots going on.
Thank you. And I think my remarks were pretty much the same. Rhubarb Days, Salute to the Troops, Nights on Ryan, summer, the concert, every single thing you can think of in the last 2 weeks. I've never seen so many people in town for a long time. It was a nice thing to see, and I hope it continues through the summer. Thank you, and we are adjourned at 6:33.